Thanks for joining us for Cascade's first Bike to School webinar. We're excited to offer this new resource to support your Bike to School efforts. Let's start by talking about Bike to School in general. May is National Bike Month, a time for people of all ages across the country to engage in active transportation through bicycling. In addition to being enjoyable, bicycling can lead to lifelong healthy habits. During Bike Month and throughout the year, we encourage all students to begin their school day with a safe and active commute, helping them arrive to school ready to learn. Can't ride all month long? Celebrate on Bike to School Day. Cascade Bicycle Club hosts friendly statewide Bike to School competitions for elementary, middle, and high school students. Students track their bike riding during May to earn cool prizes and promote active transportation in their community. Bike to School Month has been running strong for years. In 2017, more than 2,000 elementary, middle, and high school students from 61 schools in 15 school districts participated in Bike to School Month. They logged more than 973,000 minutes on their bike. Let's keep the momentum going. So my name is Ryan Young, and I'm the Youth Programs Coordinator here at Cascade. And outside of Bike to School, I also help to coordinate our Let's Go program, which runs in PE classes in the Puget Sound area, as well as our summer camps and several other smaller programs like our bike rodeo and our helmet sales program.
And greetings everyone, my name is Rachel Osias. I'm our Youth Programs Manager here with Cascade Bicycle Club. And similar to Ryan, I'm part of the team that oversees all of our youth programming and community programming outside of the Major Taylor Project within our education department. And that includes curriculums that are aligned with school standards, informal learning environments, summer fun activities, and a whole lot more. Also joining us today, we'll be having a guest speaker, Faith DeBolt, who has been involved with Cascade in a variety of ways for a while now, but just recently started tackling Bike to School as a personal and community challenge so she could support bike advocacy and fun in her community.
So here's our agenda for today's webinar. We're going to be talking about why, how, who, what, where, when, and at the end we'll talk about how you can take it above and beyond and where you can find additional resources.
All right, so a lot of folks are just curious, why Bike to School? Why has this become something that not only has a special day, but also has an entire month dedicated to it? And really, everyone has their own reasons for being a part of the Bike to School Challenge. We feel that one of the great things about biking is that it has a huge variety of ways that the bike can be used as a tool for positive change for people of all ages and abilities. There are hundreds of reasons for a student to bike to school and for us to support them in doing so, and we felt like it would be important to cover some of those today during our webinar. So when we think about biking to school, we really like to focus on thinking about healthy bodies and healthy minds. There are a lot of great reasons out there to get on a bike or find other ways to move your body, see your community, and be physically engaged and active with what's happening around you. Something that students often catch on to right away is the idea of reducing their carbon footprint. It's happening in a lot of conversations at schools where students are really thinking about how they can be environmental stewards for their planet and for their neighborhoods. And so the idea of getting on a bike and reducing their time in a car or in other motorized vehicles is a very inspiring concept. Additionally, we really like to focus on the idea of safety. As students explore their communities by bike or on foot or however other means they may do it, although we obviously encourage biking, it gives them the chance to really be critical thinkers and assess their neighborhoods and think about their own safety. The more aware they can be, the more likely it will be that they interact with others to create safer communities from their home to their school or wherever else they might be traveling. In addition to that, we really like to think about getting on our bike and biking to school as a means of creating healthier minds through establishing healthy habits of moving our bodies on a regular basis and inviting our friends and family to join us in doing that. And also because arriving to school by means of their own physical power helps keep them engaged and focused throughout the day. There's plenty of research that suggests that. Teachers are now doing little mini breaks in between their lesson plans where students are getting up and moving their bodies, and that's all to support that active, engaged brain activity. And biking to school is a great way to do that and a great habit and routine to start them off right for the day. Something that may be a given for everyone is just the idea that biking to school can be very, very fun. We are huge advocates of laughter and smiles and being silly when on a bike. And I don't know how many of you have hopped on a bike. Maybe it's something you do every day, or maybe it's something you haven't tried in years, but there's something about getting on a bike that is just very joyful for many of us. And for those of us that it's not joyful for, where it's a little bit nerve-wracking, we also are trying to think about ways to get students involved that is slow and careful and thoughtful and allows space for it to be fun and to create smiles. We really feel that we want to encourage our next generation of cyclists to be thinking about how they're interacting with their environments as bikers and as walkers. It gives students a chance to learn and grow through interacting with each other, with multiple generations of people. It helps us think about personal empowerment and the idea of being an explorer and planning our own routes. Like I said earlier, it strengthens the idea of communities and neighborhoods and those interpersonal skills of learning to communicate with others and be attentive to the needs of those around us. We hope that it's friendly and accessible, and if it's not, we can find ways to make it that way. And it just gives many of our students a chance to try something new, whether that be biking on one day, biking for a few minutes, or just talking to a mentor or adult who means something to them about ways to get to and from school that's different than how they normally do. We are huge advocates of the smiles and fun that biking can bring us. So another reason we feel that biking to school is important is that it really explores a vast array of topics. We can really think about biking as an interdisciplinary subject or interdisciplinary exploration. The bike and its rich history and how it relates to many different cultures and people offers the opportunities to reflect, study, and learn in a variety of ways. We really feel like the bike can connect to history, art, science, physics, and a number of other topics. And so posing the question to students, where can the bike take you? Where can a bike take you? Can really be explored in a variety of ways. It can open up new stories of ways that they'd like to be empowered or they want to empower their communities. It can bring in very rich historical context from their lives or the lives of their ancestors. And we just feel like it's a great way to touch base with all the different subjects that are happening in schools. We also feel like it then provides an opportunity for great community improvement projects and assessments, where students are getting the chance to look around them and say, wow, in my neighborhood, what are the things that I feel like we're doing really well? What are sidewalks and infrastructure things that I'm seeing that are strong, that are beneficial to all the people around me? And where can we improve? What's lacking? Does my community have sidewalks? Does my community have curb cuts for accessibility? Do I feel safe when I'm in my neighborhood? And if I don't, why not? And can I find ways to improve that? So it really brings in a layer of community development and civic engagement. And then obviously those two things connect really well with the idea of interpersonal growth, the idea of critically thinking about ourselves and our place and how we can explore navigating our city through relationships, community building, and infrastructure changes so that we can, better ourselves ideally and better the folks in places and where we live. So with all those things being said, we would imagine that you and your students have other great reasons and great stories for why bike to school. Why is this bike a tool for transformation, and why do we feel like it's powerful? And we would encourage you to get out there and have these conversations with your students, your families, your community, neighbors, to really talk about why does it matter to you, and to make sure that you're tailoring bike to school or bike to school day in a way that is meaningful for all of your participants, and that it has really deep roots so that ideally it's sustainable and can keep going for years to come, whether or not you are involved as a coordinator or an adult or a parent or a community member.
So next we're going to talk about how the Bike to School Challenge works. These three main steps are the backbone of the Bike to School Challenge, the bare minimum of what it takes to participate. We've been working hard to make the challenge simple so that it is easy to put into place anywhere. That being said, there are many extra steps that can happen before, between, and even after these three steps to really make your Bike to School program shine. Next, we will talk in more detail about these three steps and then provide some examples of how you can go above and beyond to have the best Bike to School month. So, who can sign up? The challenge is open to elementary, middle, and high school students in Washington State. Students younger than 13 must have an adult or coordinator sign them up and submit minutes at the end of the month. Students 13 and older can register themselves with parent or guardian permission, but can also be registered by an adult coordinator. They are not required to sign themselves up. So now that we know who can sign up, let's talk about how to sign up. So there will be a Google form available from Cascade.org where any type of participant can sign up for the challenge. One of the first questions will be, what type of participant are you? And depending on the answer that you give, coordinator, middle school student, high school student, etc., then it will ask you for different information on the form. Coordinators do not need to sign up individual students because as a coordinator you're signing up for the group that you're coordinating, unless you want your middle school or high school students to sign themselves up. Multiple coordinators for one group or school can sign up together or separately. So there's a spot on the form where you can list additional coordinators, but it's also fine if each coordinator fills out the form themselves. Either way works for us. And when you register on the form, not only will we know that you're participating and that your group is participating, we will also be sending out weekly Bike to School newsletters, and we'll talk more about those later. So once you sign up, how do you participate during the month? Students will track their minutes on a Bike to School month tracking calendar where they can log the number of minutes they ride their bike each day. Rather than competing against one another, students compete to increase their own personal totals. This calendar is a tool to use for tracking minutes, but if you have another way of tracking, we would love to hear about it. This can be printed from the website and is a great thing to put on the fridge, go over in class each day, or talk about at each scout meeting during the month. Rides do not need to be to or from school. Every minute riding a bike counts, including rides to school, sports practice, parks, libraries, a friend's house, and more. So now that students have tracked their minutes, how are they submitted? Once again, students 13 and older can submit their own minutes, and students under 13 must have minutes submitted by a coordinator. But coordinators can also submit minutes for a student of any age. So if you're coordinating middle school or high school students, you can submit their minutes or they can submit their minutes. And the minutes will be submitted on a Google form, and that Google form is typically available at the end of the month. And we'll go over all the different things that you need to submit so that we have all the information. And it's really important for us to get this data because we use it to highlight how many students are riding in Washington State. And if you're coordinating for a group, you can just submit the total minutes, total number of students, etc., rather than making an individual submission for each student. And you must submit minutes in order to be entered to win the prizes at the end of the month. And please be sure that your child's minutes are only submitted one time. So we've talked a lot about coordinators, so we just wanted to go over who is a coordinator, what is a Bike to School coordinator. A coordinator, put very simply, is any adult who is submitting minutes for a student or students. We also hope that coordinators will support and inspire students throughout the challenge to ride more and to track their minutes through various encouragement efforts. New this year, we are encouraging anyone to be a coordinator in an effort to reach more students. If your school is a coordinator, often a teacher or parent volunteer, we encourage you to reach out to them and we can help you find them. If not, we would love for you to become a coordinator for your school. Other coordinator candidates might include scout troop leaders, sports team coaches, or even just parents who want their own children to be involved.
All right, so now that we've gotten an understanding of why Bike to School, how to host a Bike to School challenge for your school using Cascade as a resource, let's talk a little bit more about just expanding beyond the scope of the basic skeleton of the Bike to School Month challenge. First and foremost, we would love you to really think about engaging your students in the challenge. A number of schools and teachers do this through providing a Dropbox for Bike to School Month event ideas because students often have tons of them. Many teachers or coordinators will hold a meeting with student leaders to generate ideas and leadership opportunities. Many folks will have poster painting parties or getting together to decorate their bike parties. We really want you to think about making it fun. Some schools will even host friendly competitions between their classes or their students and their teachers to offer a new way to increase the competition in a very friendly manner. We really want you to think about getting the whole school on board. So tracking the total minutes as a school, including teachers, principals, volunteers, you can really take these ideas in any direction that you want. But the more folks who are involved, the more exciting it can feel to students, and the more supported ideally they feel in the process. If you're thinking about funding to generate food or prizes, think about reaching out to your parent or guardian groups to see what types of opportunities they might have to either host a fundraiser or offer support in another way to your challenge. We also want you to think about the idea of Bike to School Day. This day is a very special day. It's usually the second Wednesday in May, and it's a special day because it allows students who might not be able to participate during the entire month this one chance to get involved with the excitement of Bike to School. So we encourage you to think about making it a lot of fun. Many coordinators will offer a prize for students who ride on Bike to School Day. They might offer pancakes or donuts or some kind of a great incentive. They might have music playing in the background or lots of adults offering high fives for students who show up on Bike to School Day as a biker. Something we provide to you all, which you can provide to your students as well, is a Bike to School newsletter. When you and your students register for the Bike to School Month Challenge, that means that you're also signing up for a Bike to School newsletter in which we will send you updates and stories from around the state of how well we're doing as a team in collecting minutes on our bikes, as well as cool, fun, interesting things happening and new fun ways to get involved. And lastly, we just want to remind you that we are here to support you and to offer as many resources as we're able. We realize that our Bike to School Challenge has changed over the years. A big part of that is trying to think about going statewide to be sure that we have schools across the state feeling supported. But we are here, we are available by phone or email, and if you ever have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can get in touch with us, and we are more than happy to be a sounding board for your new ideas and the new opportunities that you're generating for your student. Again, a reminder of our email, it's BTS, short for Bike to School, at cascade.org. So feel free to reach out to Ryan or I, and we will do our best to make sure that you have what you need to be successful. All right, so thinking about going above and beyond. A lot of our ideas and opportunities are ones that have been shared with us from other Bike to School coordinators and teachers, adults, parents, who are all engaged in supporting their students with Bike to School Month. So when we think about going above and beyond, really any ideas are possible. And those student groups that you sit down with will most likely generate a lot of great ideas on their own. Some of the things that we've seen happen before in Bike to School Months are bike rodeos, which is an encouragement activity that happens as a way to build skills. It can be very silly and fun and has different stations. Cascade offers a bike rodeo kit and a curriculum online for free. A lot of coordinators and teachers and parents and guardians offer food and snacks, which, if you've ever worked with students and even adults, we know can be a great motivator for getting people involved. Sometimes they'll do a biking Tuesday donut day or a pancake breakfast or any other type of fun and silly food and snack way of motivating their students. We offer safety assemblies. We can encourage you and teach you how to host a kind of bike infrastructure walk around your school to do an assessment. And a lot of families try and set up bike trains for Bike to School Month. So really the possibilities are endless, and we encourage you to come up with new ideas and share them with each other and with the community. So speaking of going above and beyond, we're really excited to have a guest speaker on our webinar today, Faith DeVolt. And I'm going to give a brief introduction of her, and then we're going to go through it, asking her some questions about her experiences as a Bike to School coordinator and how she got involved and some of the ways that she was able to be successful. Very excited she's here. All right, so Faith DeVolt sold her car and moved from Houston, Texas to Seattle in 2006, where she promptly bought a nice bike. She biked community graduate school for 2 years, including through her second trimester of pregnancy. No small feat. After her maternity break in 2009, she got a job with SBW Consulting in Bellevue and began cycling again. In 2011, she moved to Kirkland, where her top priority while house hunting became her bike commute. After forming a bike company team for the 2013 Bike Month Challenge, she realized she had a very strong passion for bike advocacy. In Bellevue, A high number of office employees commute by bike, approximately 1/4 to 2/3. Plenty of work to do. In 2014, she completed an East Side Advocacy Leadership Institute with Cascade and developed a campaign for Bike to School Day. She's been an advocate for better biking infrastructure in Bellevue since 2015. In 2017, she joined Kirkland Greenways, and in May 2017, she coordinated her first Bike to School Day at Thoreau Elementary. She had tried coordinating in previous years, but was successful in 2017 due to a partnership with the newly hired principal at the school. In 2017, she won Cascade's Bike to School Clinton Loper Award, and we're very excited to host her here on our website. Thanks for being with us, Faith. All right, so we are just going to go over kind of the basics to share your story, Faith, about what it's like to be a Bike to School coordinator. So let's just start with, what was your first time coordinating like, and why did you choose to do it?
I chose to coordinate a Bike to School Day because too many families drive short distances to our walking school. I wanted to share with families how convenient, safe, and fun it is to ride bikes to school.
You all weren't here to see it, but Faith did walking in air quotes here, and so really exploring the idea of a school being walking, quote unquote, but yet many families often drive their cars or find other ways to get there. So I'm glad that you were willing to explore that, Faith. So in thinking about your coordination, what issues arose that you were able to navigate?
The first attempts at coordinating Bike to School days in 2015 and 2016 were unsuccessful. The principal at that time had limited interpretation of the district Bike to School policy, allowing only students 10 years and older to ride. Fortunately, that principal took a different position in the district in the 2016-17 school year, and the new principal was much more receptive and encouraging of kids biking to school. I was able to rally together some parents to help plan and volunteer the morning of Bike to School today. I also had great support from Cascade, and I got a local bike shop to have a tune-up station set up. One of the issues I navigated was clearing up the bike school policy with families. The previous principal had a more limited rule about biking to school. Only students 10 years and older with a bike contract on file in the office could ride to school and park their bikes at the racks. The new principal brought school policy into alignment with district policy. Students 10 and older can ride alone if they have a bike contract on file. All others must be escorted to and from school by an adult and can leave their bike at school if there is space to lock it on a bike rack.
So it sounds like you highlighted two really important things there, Faith. Communications in general, right? How we're speaking to folks who might be on board with us and supporting the work, getting the news out, making sure that folks actually know that this is an opportunity for them. And then also just really exploring what kind of, I just blanked on the word, Faith, sorry, what kind of policies are in place at your school that may support or hinder the work that you're trying to do. And that really, I think, emphasizes the idea of partnerships and relationships and communication as we go forward doing this work. I'm glad you brought those things up. I imagine you're going to talk maybe about this, but maybe not. But in thinking about those things, what lessons learned are you implementing this year?
A lesson learned last year was to ensure we have enough bike parking space. We filled up all 3 racks last year and had to send some parents home with their students' bikes. This year we'll have a couple temporary racks to augment for the big day. Hopefully we'll have more permanent bike parking space in place soon.
Solid. It's the little things that we often forget about, I think, sometimes when doing a lot of coordinating. And so I'm glad that that's a lesson that you learned. I'm looking forward to hearing how you're able to tackle that, this year. So we're gonna think about a big picture question now. But how has Bike to School Month and other encouragement activities made a difference in your life or the lives of your students?
I love being an advocate for active transportation in my community. I get so much joy out of seeing kids and families on bikes. Last year, I was humbled to be recognized with the Clint Loper Award from Cascade and have been motivated to do even more and prove I earned it. With the large turnout at Bike to School Day last year, the principal felt confident in having strong support from families at the school who are supportive of biking and walking to school. This year, she formed the Transportation Task Force to address high traffic and dangerous behavior from families driving students to and from school. Solutions being considered include better signage to improve car traffic flow and encouraging families to walk, bike, or carpool instead.
Faith, we were very tickled to be able to give you that award, and we felt like you definitely earned it. And obviously, having you on our webinar today is just further showcasing how much you are leaning into doing this work, which we appreciate. And I'm also, of course, thrilled to hear about your principal creating the Transportation Task Force, because I think that shows a lot of what we talked about in this webinar about how everything can be interconnected and the idea of bigger things happening in our communities through those small steps and connections that we make with others. So we appreciate having you on today. Excited to hear about your Bike to School month this year, and thank you so much. And we're going to keep going here in our webinar we're almost at the end, one of our last slides with Ryan.
All right, so to finish up, we just want to reiterate that we are here to offer as much support as we are able for your Bike to School month efforts. So if you go to cascade.org/BTS, you will find many resources that will hopefully help you in planning your month, including the things listed here. You can also find resources from the National Partnership for Safe Routes to School or National Bike and Walk to School Day. And if you have any other questions or concerns or need ideas or anything like that, please feel free to reach out to us, and we will do our best to support you. So thank you so much for being part of this webinar and watching it through. And there at the bottom of this slide is the email for you to reach out to us if you have anything to say. And we also welcome feedback at any time. We're hoping to do this better and better.
Thank you.